Hey guys, what's up? So today is going to be a little bit different. Instead of an effect or anything like that, I'm going to be going over the program itself for people who are just new to the program. I've been getting a lot of requests on making a beginner's guide or a beginner's playlist so people can get a grasp for the program. Now, when you open up the program, you're going to see name and all this underneath it. These are projects that you were working on before, your recent projects, and you can just, double click and they'll open. Over here, you'll have open project, and you can go and look for where your projects are being saved in your document or wherever you put them. I put mine in my desktop in a folder called AEP because AEP stands for Adobe After Effects project. And I can click here and then open, and it'll open up the project. For us, we're gonna start a new project. And now all this is called your workspace, and you can play around with your workspace and make it to the best for yourself. Like say you want this viewport right here somewhere else, you can undock it by clicking on these little three lines. Right here it says undock panel, and it'll undock the panel. This is good for people who have multiple different monitors. So say you want this on a different monitor, you can just drag it onto the other side or drag it to the right, wherever you have. I have 4 different monitors that I use when I'm editing, so I never have my viewport actually on here unless it's for a tutorial, of course. And if you accidentally undocked it, you can just grab it right here and then just put it back where it was, and it'll come back here. And to undock, if you just try to grab it, it's not going to undock. You actually have to come down here and undock the panel. And this is the same for everything. So for example, if I wanted to undock this project files, go right here, undock panel, and it'll undock, and you can move this around to wherever you want. There you go. And same thing here, preview effect. We'll go over all this later on, like what this is all is. And this is your timeline right here. Your timeline scrubs through your video file and everything. And I'll go more into that. For right now, I want to go what this is. This is where all your projects, or rather your files, are at. So say you bring in audio, your pictures, your videos, they're all going to be right here. And I can give an example of that. So in order to bring in a file, you can either come in and drag it in and drop it, and it'll automatically import the file for you, and here you have it. Or what you can do is you can go to File, go all the way down where it says Import File, and you can go to where your file is, Import, and you brought it in. Those are 2 different ways to import files, and when you drag it into your timeline here, you'll be able to see it. So you need to drag like a photo, an audio, or a video down here in order to see it. So if I drag this down here, I have mine, and this is the timeline. The video file is 9 seconds long, so your timeline is 9 seconds long. And you can drag this up and see everything. Now, if you have a much slower computer and it's taking a long time to buffer, you might want to reduce the quality, and you can do that by right here where it says full resolution. You click this down and it says half, third, quarter. Back when I was using a very horrible computer, I would have to run everything on quarter, and even then it was really slow, but at least it renders much quicker and you can see everything just faster. Now, another thing is composition. This right here that was made the minute I dropped this video file is a composition. A composition is practically your whole project, or rather this timeline right here. So because we dragged this in, it automatically made this composition 9 seconds long, or 9 minutes long. No, 9 seconds long. 9 seconds long because that's how long this video file is. But I can just manually make a composition, and I delete this, it'll of course delete the video, because that composition is your whole project. It's everything that you were working on right here. So be careful on deleting your composition. So I can go right here where it says composition and new composition, or right here it says Control N. So if I hit Control N, it'll open up this comp, and I can name this intro if I was working on my intro for something. And right here it says duration. This is how long your composition is going to be, or how long your project is going to be. So I can make this 1 minute. So it goes by hour, minutes, seconds, then frames down here. So I have 1 minute and 1 frame. You can choose your frame rate if you want 30 or if you want 60. Resolution. There's also custom presets that you can use, or you can make your own preset. And then the background. So because when you open up a composition, you can choose a color. I don't know if you wanted green or something. Press OK, and then press OK, and bam, we got a green background. And now we can bring this in, and this is a lot different than just bringing in the video itself, because we made our own composition. So it's not going to be 9 seconds anymore. It's going to be that 1 minute that we chose. But here's your intro. And now we can bring in other things and just keep dragging on more stuff, and it gets really complicated, and we make this giant scene. And this is all right here in this composition. So if we delete this composition, everything will be deleted, because this composition is our project, that project that we're working on. Now, don't forget to save. If you ever see a little asterisk right here, it means you haven't saved the project. It's very important to save, because you never know what's going to happen at any moment. It doesn't matter if you have an amazing computer, it doesn't matter if you have a horrible computer. At the end of the day, things happen, and saving is one of the most important things, because you never want your computer to just randomly turn off and you've saved nothing. Now, Adobe does have an autosave, kind of, where it saves your most recent thing that you've done. So when you come back, it might still have some of your project, some of the work you've already done on that project, but overall it's still saved, because it's just, you don't want to have an extremely bad day because you didn't save. Saving is probably the most important tip overall in any program: After Effects, Maya, ZBrush, Premiere, Dreamweaver, anything that you're using, always save. Saving is very important. Now that we're talking about composition, I want to talk about pre-composition. Pre-compositions are compositions within your compositions. Now that can be a little confusing, but let me just give you a demonstration. Now, if you want to select multiple different layers, because all these are called layers. So if I want to select this one and all this together, I could just shift and then click, and I can start selecting multiple. And then I can right click right here. It says pre-compose. And then I can name it something outside lines. And I press OK. And now I have this pre-composition inside the composition. So now this controls, if I double click, these two intros. Let me actually show you in a different manner. So let me make shapes. So I'll go over this in a different video. For now, I just want to show you what pre-compositions are. So I'm going to make two different shapes right here. And it's all in this timeline right here. And if I pre-compose this, and I name this, I'll just name it shape layer. This shape layer is now everything that's inside here. So if I want to make even more shapes, I can. I can make this shape right here, and then I can make this shape right here. So now I have 3 shapes in here, right? And this little eyeball right here means to see or not to see. So you can hide your stuff. Visible or not visible. Now, we have all those 3 shapes in this pre-composed layer. So if we just turn off this pre-composed layer, it takes off all the shape layers. So what this is it's like a mini wrapper of a bunch of stuff. So when your project is getting really big and you have like a bunch of tiny things, you can just pre-compose it and have it in one pre-composed layer. So I can start working on this and make it into something I want, come back out into the intro, and then I'll still see it here. But it won't be as many layers stacked all the way down. You have it in this neat little pre-composed layer. Now that we talked about workspace, I also want to talk about saving your workspace. So let's say we undock a panel and we move it over there. We move it, I don't know, maybe let's move this right down here, right? We want this right here. And we want the preview buttons, maybe about right here, down here. And I know it's just getting ridiculous at this point, but let's say we want to save this for later use. We can. And we do that by going to Windows. Right here it says Workspace. And all the way down here it says Save as New Workspace. And if we click that, we can now save what we just did into a new workspace. And we can call this our new workspace. And now whenever we want this to show up, and we go from default, or so we go from default, and then right here it says our new workspace. We have this new workspace. We click this, and it'll bring it back right down here. Everything that we just did, it'll bring it back down. So that covers mostly most of the interface that you kind of need to know. Later we'll cover grids and title cards and just things that will help you align certain things. We'll do that when we're covering this. One last thing I want to cover before I end this video is exporting, which is down in the file. Same way where it says import, it says export down here. You can add to render queue, and it'll get this export. Exporting is when you're finished with the video and now you want to put it all together and put it out as an MP4 or an AVI or an MOV or a WMV, whatever you want to export it as. Right here is where everything is. So exporting means everything I've worked on, I just want to make it into a video now and just, be able to upload it on YouTube. You need to make it into a video. So right here, you would choose your settings and everything. We'll later go on export settings and everything. But for now, just know this is how you get to your export settings. You go down a file, you have to add it to your queue, and it'll bring it down here. And then you would click render, and it'll render it out. And that concludes this beginner's first episode on just learning the interface, learning how to bring in files, how to drag it down here, how to make compositions, and all that. And another thing before I end this video as well is you can always change your composition setting just by right-clicking where your composition is. Go to composition settings, and right here you can change it again. So let's say you're working on your file and it's not a minute long, you want to make it 2 minutes long. You just go down here, make it 2 minutes long, press OK, and then now it's 2 minutes long. And that concludes this tutorial.